We are going over multi-step equations with variables on both sides. There are 5 steps that you need to ask yourself, or 5 questions, as you solve these equations. We are starting at number 3 on this handout. The problem says negative 4x minus 3 equals negative 6x plus 9. The first question is you have to ask yourself, do you have distributive property? Which means, do you have parentheses in your equation?
No.
For this equation, the answer is no. We do not have to use the distributive property. The second question is, do I need to combine any like terms?
Yes.
So I'm going to look at my left-hand side. There are no like terms to combine. I'm going to look at my right-hand side. There are no like terms to combine. Now I need to go across the line and get my variables together. That's the third step. Get your variables on the same side. I like to move the variables over to the left, but you could move it to the right if you wanted to. I'm going to add 6x on both sides. So then my 6x cancels on the right. I'm going to add 6x to my negative 4. 6x and a minus 4x is 2x. I'm going to bring down my minus 3 equals 9. Now it is just a two-step equation. So we are going to isolate the variable by moving addition and subtraction. So I'm going to move this subtract 3 to the other side by using inverse operations. So I'm going to add 3, and I get 2x equals 12. Then I have to finally divide by 2 to get x by itself. My answer is x equals 6. The next problem that we are going to do is number 4. It says 41 minus 2n equals 2 plus n. So I'm going to follow those 5 questions. First, ask yourself if you have distributive property. No parentheses in this problem, no distributive property. Second question is, do you need to combine like terms? You look on the left-hand side. No like terms. Look on the right-hand side. No like terms. So we move to step 3, where we have to combine our variables on the same side using inverse operations. So I have a negative 2n on the left, and I have a 1n on the right. So I'm going to move the 1n over to the left. I'm going to subtract 1n because that's the inverse operation. Whatever you do to one side, you have to do to the other side. So I end up with 41, a negative 2n, and a negative 1n is a negative 3n equals 2. The next step is to solve the two-step equations by moving the constant to the other side. This is a positive 41. So I have to subtract 41. That gives me negative 3n equals a negative 39. And our final step is to do the inverse of multiplication, which is dividing by negative 3 on both sides. And we get n equals 13. 30. The next problem is number 5. Number 5 says 6 times 2 plus y equals 3 times 3 minus y. First question is, do you have distributive property? Yes, because I have parentheses. I'm going to distribute 6 times 2, which is 12, and 6 times y, which is 6y. equals another distributive property. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times negative 1y would be a negative 3y. Draw your line down the equal sign. Question 2 is, do you have like terms that you need to combine?
No.
No. I'm looking at the left, no like terms. I'm looking at the right, no like terms. Now I need to get my variables on the same side. So I have a negative 3y. I'm going to add 3y to both sides. That's going to give me 12 plus 9y equals 9. Now it's a two-step equation. So I'm going to move the 12 over with the other constant using inverse operations. So I'm going to subtract 12. That's going to give me 9y equals 3, negative 3. Finally, I'm going to divide by 9 on both sides. Yes, your answer can be a fraction, but you need to simplify that fraction if possible. So it would be a negative 1/3. And starting, our last problem for the day is number 8. We have negative 2 times 2x plus 3 equals negative 4 times x plus 1 minus 2. First question, do you use the distributive property? Do you have parentheses? Yes. So I'm going to distribute negative 2 times 2x is a negative 4x. Negative 2 times 3 is a negative 6. I have another parenthesis, so another distributive property. Negative 4 times x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times 1 is a negative 4. That extra negative 2 is outside the parentheses, so I'm just going to bring it down to the next step. Question number 2 is, do I have like terms? So I'm going to look at the left, no like terms. I'm going to look at the right, and I notice I have a negative 4 and a negative 2, which I can combine to give me a negative 6. Now, this is a special case. This is a special kind of problem because you notice that it is negative 4x minus 6 on the left, and it's a negative 4x minus 6 on the right. It's the same thing on both sides, which means it's always going to be equal. It is always going to be the same, so you will always have an answer. So that means this problem is called infinite solutions, because you will always have an answer. You will always get the same thing on both sides. Now, the alternative to that would be a no solution. If you did all of this work and you came out to a problem where you have 4 equal to 5, the number 4 is not equal to the number 5. So this would be a no solution. So if you come out to a problem that 2 numbers are not equal and the variables cancel out, it is no solution. If you come out to a problem where it's the exact same number on both sides, it is infinite solution. Or you're going to get a problem where you have a variable equal to a number. Okay, there are 3 types of equations. This one is called one solution, when you have a variable equal to a number. That is the only number that will work. When it is equal to itself, you can have infinite solutions because everything will work. Or you can have no solutions because the 2 numbers will never be the same.